All right, we're back for the fifth and the last of the series of nutrition classes, and this is going to give you kind of a summary and a repeat of some of the things we've already talked about today. It's important enough to hear again. I decided since everybody who works has to worry about lunch meals, that we'll talk about that, and we'll talk about the pros and cons of fast food versus carrying your own lunch. And I did do a board for the school lunch back to school program, and I thought it actually applies to us adults too, so we're going to use that as well. And this shows you some of the worst choices for your lunch and some of the best choices for your lunch. So we're going to look at some of those things. The first one is the Lunchable. I found a lot of mothers were confessing to me at this workshop that they did use the Lunchables for their kids. And the thing that drives some of the lunch decisions is the cost, but more importantly is the speed, the handiness of something. And Lunchables are quick and easy. You can grab them, they're not too costly, but really you don't get a lot for your dollar when you get a Lunchable. Let's look at what a Lunchable actually contains. This is a small version, but it has 330 calories, 13 grams of fat, and 560 milligrams of sodium, 41 grams of carbohydrate, which is almost 3 servings of carb if you were diabetic, and 11 grams of protein, which is not a great deal of protein for a meal. Now, while sodium for a 4 to 8-year-old should be limited to 1,200 milligrams of sodium per day, this meal has 46% of what that child should have for the day. Remember that an excessive salty diet means increased risk of high blood pressure in these children later in life. So that's one of my concerns. If you want to serve a Lunchable once in a while, sure, make it a special treat, but don't send them 5 days a week to school with your kids, and hopefully you're not going to be eating them 5 days a week. That's just a once in a while thing. Other things that people might choose might be something like beef jerky. I know a lot of guys, when they go hunting or they're out and about in the wilderness, they'll take something like that because it doesn't have to be refrigerated. But what's the problem with the jerky? Well, one small strip, it's 110 calories, 9 grams of fat, 460 milligrams of sodium, and 6 grams of protein. Now for the child that consumes this on a regular basis, we're increasing the risk of colorectal cancer and cardiovascular disease. So again, that's your once in a while when you're out hunting kind of food, but not something you want to pack in lunches for every day. Now let's look back at some of the more typical lunches that you might prepare from home. And one of those might be the bologna and cheese sandwich. I know this is what was popular when I was growing up. My dad called that round steak. And it was put on 2 slices of white bread. People weren't very conscious about fiber back then, so white bread was very popular. And then you'd probably throw in a bag of some type of chips to go along with the sandwich. We like that little crunch and that salt to go with it. And today, people would grab some kind of dessert for the child or yourself. This is available at Walmart for like 99 cents. And then they might have a soda. Again, years ago, you might not have included soda for a lunch meal, but kids today are drinking lots of soft drinks, and you may also include those. So what do we get in that meal? It's just a sandwich, chips, cookies, and the soda. 1,266 calories in that one lunch meal. And for a child, that's probably as much as they would need for the entire day. So where does the problem lie? Well, first off, you know that bologna is not a very nutritious source of protein. It's made from a lot of fat and a lot of salt's put in there with it, so not a lot of bang for your buck. Then we have the Fritos, which yes, looks like a single serving, but actually there's 320 calories in that one bag of Fritos, 20 grams of fat, which is an awful lot of fat, 50 being the goal for the day, 320 milligrams of sodium, 32 grams of carbohydrate, which is 2 servings of carbohydrate for a diabetic, and 3 grams of protein. Now, whether it's potato chips or corn chips or cheese puffs, they're high in fat, they're high in salt and calories, and they're often made from genetically modified ingredients, whatever that means. So if you just want a little crunch and salt to go with the sandwich, you might consider something like a slightly salted nut, which also has protein and the good fats in it, or maybe some homemade bagels or baked corn chips or real veggie chips. So again, just for the crunch, that might be a better option or another option. Another problem was the dessert. It looks like a single serving container, but as we've learned from other classes, this is supposed to serve 2.5 people. But if you ate the whole thing, this is the amount of sugar you'd be getting, and that's 4 tablespoons of sugar. Now, one of the groups was concerned about the effect on children and their bouncing off the walls in class. We might also have problems with being sleepy right after eating if you have that much sugar. And then the soda, 20-ounce soda, and that's not unusual either because we do have those refills as well. 5 tablespoons of sugar in that 20-ounce Mountain Dew. We put these together, look what the children are getting when they take that, or you if you're taking that. The amount of fat, which mostly comes from the chips and the meat, 5 tablespoons. And the sodium is 3/4 teaspoon. And that's probably from mostly the meat, cheese, and the chips. So we're getting a lot of stuff, but not necessarily good stuff. So let's talk about some better options. The goal is something that's quick and easy, but also some nutrition to it and not excessive in salt, calories, and fat. So here's one of the proposals. I suggest you might choose turkey, and you can have a good 3 ounces. This is only 1 ounce, so 3 ounces of turkey. You can put that on 2 slices of whole wheat bread so you get some fiber. And then have some assorted veggies on that sandwich to make it really have good flavor and taste, and then it provides fiber as well. So that might be shredded lettuce, tomatoes, shredded carrots, sliced cucumbers, diced onions, the peppers, green, yellow, red peppers, jalapenos if you like, banana peppers, maybe some spicy mustard, again to give it a really good flavor. And then let's add, to balance this out, some fresh fruit like watermelon or cantaloupe, and Activia yogurt. And then that's going to give us protein and calcium. And that's going to be a total of, now remember this was 1,266 calories, all that, 489 calories. It's 27 grams of protein where this was only 15, and it's only 13 grams of fat where this was 51 grams of fat. Still be very filling, you get a lot of time to chew, a lot of interesting flavors, enjoyable, and can still be quick and easy. Another option might be tuna. We could do a 1/2 cup of water-packed tuna. And we're going to put this one on a 2-ounce baguette, so we're going to have some kind of different variety so we don't get taste fatigue eating the same old bread all the time. We might put some Miracle Whip with that if you want to make it into tuna salad. Have a fresh fruit cup, lettuce and tomato for some vegetables, and some pretzels. So again, if you did need that crunch, you could have the pretzels. 504 calories. Still quite a bit of savings over that other meal. 30 grams of protein, a lot of protein, and only 5 grams of fat. It's considerable less than that other meal at 51. How many of you have ever had hummus or like hummus? I like hummus. It's quick and easy, and you can buy it ready to go. This is what hummus looks like, ground chickpeas. And sometimes you get it with peppers or garlic, or I like the spicy, there's a spicy one that I'm really fond of. It's really good on homemade crackers or whole wheat crackers. And again, think of whole wheat when you make your selections, like the whole grain crackers are quick and easy and gives you more fiber. Then there are wraps, and I do recommend that you consider using whole grain wraps just for some, again, variety and taste. When people eat same old bread all the time, they do get burnt out on their lunches. So maybe a wrap that you can make enough for a couple of days and save you time the next day. If you got to have the chips, there are whole grain baked pita chips. Again, they're baked, and there's 50% less fat in those. And again, the whole grain is going to give you more fiber. So it's something interesting and different. You can buy the lunch meats in the deli, or you can get them prepackaged like the Healthy Choice turkey and chicken, and even the Healthy Choice hot dogs. Still going to have a lot of salt in it, but at least it's a whole lot less fat. And if you are going to do chips, even though there's no nutritional value to them, I would recommend that you get the baked or the light, because you're going to save lots of calories that way and not get excessive salt either. For those of you who want to take something maybe that you microwave or warm up, you might bring your own homemade hamburger made from really lean meat like ground round. So that'd be a good option. You might consider, if you've got to have that chocolate fix, instead of getting the candy bar, you get these little fat-free puddings that are already made. Just grab one and put it in your bag. It's only 80 calories. So there's not a lot of nutritional value there, but it is made from milk, so you get a little calcium that way too, and a little protein. Fresh fruits, that's on the border of the entire board. Fresh fruits and vegetables, because they're the original fast food. They're quick and easy and require no preparation, but they do provide some sweet taste for those of you who want a sweet ending for your meals, and some vitamins and minerals as well. Again, the yogurt. Whether you choose something like Activia or the Yoplait or the Greek yogurt, and Greek yogurt is really high in protein, so it's a great choice. And again, quick and easy. It's already prepared. All you do is stick it in the bag. For beverages, I would encourage more water usage and more water drinking. If you're trying to appeal to someone, you can get all the funky-looking, cute containers, the kinds you can even hook on your belt. I'm also stressing the importance of when you're carrying a lunch that you consider safety, and that's the safety of the food itself. So I saw this and thought it's a great idea. It's the lunch boxes that have a little freezer thing that you put in your bag just before you take it and put it in your box. And that way your sandwich stays cool. It's not going to be at risk for giving you food poisoning. So be sure to remember that. And you can still be cute and get all kinds of cute looking lunch boxes for the kids or for the ladies or the guys. You can get something that is quick and easy. That one actually I bought at TJ Maxx, and it came with the containers already in it, and the one with the freezer thing. So that's an excellent purchase that would use for years. Also mentioned that you can use dried fruits as your dessert rather than, if you don't want to do fresh fruits or it's not in season, they're getting more expensive, then this is something that you can have for a dessert for your snacks instead of the candy bar. So something other quick and easy again. And then the red alert would be to those foods at the fast food restaurants that may not be good choices. So if you prepare for your lunches once a week, like when you go to the grocery store, if you'll think about stocking up on veggies and fruits and the deli meats or whatever, and then when you get ready to pack lunch, it's quick and easy. Now, if you haven't thought ahead and you don't have things on hand, that's when you're probably going to go to the fast food restaurants. So what does red alert mean? Red alert is that food that's at the fast food restaurant that sounds good, sounds like it's a deal, and it's very appealing with all the advertising and marketing we've talked about in the past. The one I want to highlight is the Hardee's 2/3 pound burger. It's called a monster burger. It has 2 1/3 pound meat patties. It has 4 strips of bacon, 3 slices of cheese, mayonnaise, and a sesame seed bun. And what it ends up having is 95 to 107 grams of fat. 2 different sources gave different amounts. 36 of that are saturated fats, and 855 calories of this are from fat. The total burger, 1,420 calories. So if we added fries to that for another 520 calories and a soda with 400 calories, because it's the large version, of course, total calories for that meal, drum roll, 2,340. So that's it for the day. You got your monster burger, your fries, and your soda. You're done. That's a high alert. Now, if you're not familiar with what the fast food restaurants contain, they do usually have the nutrition information available there if you just ask for it, or you can go online and look it up, because they do have good choices. They have salads, they have grilled foods, but we hear the marketing on these foods. So there's your monster burger, and that's the amount of fat in it for one. So it looks like lard on a bun. Another problem that we have at the fast food restaurants is the size of the food. This would be a normal cookie, and this is what we see at the checkout counter when they ask if you want a dessert, right? So that's going to increase the calories, that's going to increase the fat. So remember, sizes count. Another thing that we tend to send with the kids and maybe provide for snack time is the fruit-flavored snacks. Sounds like a great idea. And I'm not saying they're all that bad, but they're just not nutritious like they're promoted to be. There's only 80 calories in one package, which is okay. No fat, that's good. But there's 19 grams of carbohydrate. So what are we giving the kids? Sugar. Fruit-flavored sugar, right? They do contain a fruit juice blend, very small amount, corn syrup, sugar, cornstarch, and colored dyes. So they're really getting sugar, sugar, sugar with a little flavor of juice behind it. What about the Sunny D? This is marketed very well. It looks so healthy on the front. It's got the orange juice, the orange slice on there, and the sunshine, and it's the color of orange juice, so it implies this is really a good thing. So mom wants to treat the kids or yourself, and you grab this, and you think, at least I'm getting some juice, right? Are you? This one container has 110 calories, no fat, 330 milligrams of sodium, which if it was orange juice would have no sodium, 30 grams of carbohydrate, which is equivalent to 2 carbohydrate choices for diabetics, and no protein whatsoever. This fruit drink contains 5% juice. It's usually loaded with sugar. The first 2 ingredients are water and corn syrup. And if sugar is one of the first 2 ingredients, it means it is mostly sugar. So very tricky, isn't it? It's almost as bad as this. This is the amount of sugar you're getting from this so-called healthy drink. 2 tablespoons of sugar. All right, let's look at I haven't done fast foods right. These, okay. Third class, you forget what you said. What it said. If you were using 50 grams of fat as your goal for the day, your target, you're not going to need more than 50. Let's go to McDonald's and let's get the small burger, the one that is only 1.5 ounces of meat. It is so flat and thin that you pull the bun apart to make sure they put meat on it, right? And it still has 12 grams of fat in it, filled up to here. Now it has this much fat because hamburger is not made from lean steak, is it? It's made from lots of fat, just the trimmings off the regular meat. So you get 12 grams of fat, but then 12 out of 50 is not all that bad. So what if you said, okay, Rita says white meat's better for me, so I'm going to get the chicken sandwich. And now you get 27 grams of fat. What happened?
It's fried.
Deep
It's
fried.
fried, yeah, exactly. People tend to think, I'll get fish or I'll get chicken because that's a much better choice. Forgetting that if it is fried, it's not a better choice. 27 grams of fat out of 50 for the day. Well, what if you did get the, what most people consider the normal size sandwich, the Whopper? 38 grams of fat. Now let's remember, goal is 50, this is 38, but let's get it as a cheeseburger, so we add another 10, we're at 48, and we've got to have at least some fries with that, so now we're at 58. 58 grams of fat, and that's just that one meal. What if we went to the drive-up window that morning and got the sausage, biscuit, and egg with 40 grams of fat? Now we're at 98 grams of fat, and we haven't had supper. So Rita says fish is really good for you, so we go to Long John Silver's, and we get the 3-piece fish dinner with hush puppies, french fries, and coleslaw with 70 grams of fat. Now we have about 170 grams of fat for the day, which is 3 times more than goal. Now you understand why obesity is an epidemic in this nation and why our children are having more health problems. As a matter of fact, we now see type 2 diabetes among children, and that used to be unheard of. Usually if a child was diabetic, it was type 1, that meant they had to have insulin. Type 2 diabetes is related to being obese. And we're seeing that a lot in young kids now. Quarter pounder with cheese, according to their own label, information on the back, has 740 calories. 42 grams of fat, or 4 tablespoons of fat. And that didn't count the fries, did it? So you add fries to that, and then we increase that amount of fat by, depending on the size of the fries, 10 to 20 grams. Hot dogs are not bad enough, but let's put some batter on them and let's fry them. Okay? What's that do to it? Runs the fat even higher, the calories even higher, and the kids love it because we put it on a stick, right? Easy to eat. Remember that these foods we've already talked about all have extra salt, extra fat, not good choices. But over here, we have things such as water, fat-free milk, yogurt, which is high in protein and calcium and can be low fat, veggies, fruits, even a boiled egg is a good source of protein, whole grain crackers. Still quick, still easy, still affordable, and can make a much quicker meal than even getting in the car and going to the drive-up window if you carry it with you and plan ahead for that day. Okay. Questions? Oh, I haven't talked about little Debbie cakes, have I? This has been around for a long time. You can tell by the look of the little girl. She looks very old-fashioned. Used to cost 99 cents a box. I think they're more like $2 now, inflation. But quick and easy. Tastes great. But what's the problem with them? What's little Debbie cakes have? Well, a package is considered 2 cakes, and they have 320 calories just for that dessert, 14 grams of fat, 48 grams of carbohydrate, which is 3 servings of carbs, and 150 milligrams of sodium. That could be a nice little special treat for occasionally, but not something you want to send in the lunch every day. Quick and easy is what drives a lot of these meal choices, but we need to consider nutrition and the long-term effect of it. If it's 5 days a week, it does need to have some healthy benefits as well. Questions?
Flatbread versus regular bread. Good choice, bad choice.
Flatbread as in something like this?
They have the flatbread that comes like
Oh,
buns or
yeah.
whatever these days.
I know what you're talking about. And the pita bread and some of those, yeah. The good rule of thumb is to look at the label. They're required by law to be honest about the amount. And they give you the calories, the fat grams, the sodium, and the protein. Don't look at percentages. That's very confusing. Look at the actual amount of fat. Remember, a food is low fat if it's 3 grams or less per serving. Most bread will be. If it's not, probably not something you want to have all the time either. So most bread runs about 1 gram of fat per slice. So flatbread compared to that, you know, if it's equal to 2 slices of bread, 2 to 3 grams of fat was what would be I'd cut off there.
Okay.
Look for fiber. That's another important thing. Try to include fiber. The average person needs at least 26 grams of fiber per day. Most of us don't get nearly that much, especially if we're not including fruits and vegetables in our diet. And that's why we do think there's more colorectal cancer and diverticulitis and that type of problem. Other questions?
Mine's kind of, I mean, I don't know really if it can be answered, but this might not even be a question as much of an observation, but it amazes me that they can even suspend 5 tablespoons of sugar in a liquid that size.
Probably in the form of corn syrup.
And it's,
Dissolved, yeah.
yeah.
It's hard to believe that we're really doing that, isn't it? Mm-hmm. But if you think about when you make tea, I remember we used to add the sugar to our glass of tea at home because my dad was diabetic, so we sweetened it ourselves. It was a lot harder to sweeten cold tea, but 2 teaspoons would be the max you'd ever put into a glass of tea. But look what we're doing here. The 12-ounce drinks have 10 teaspoons of sugar, just a can drink. And, you know, tea we might put 2 and think that's a lot. So, you know, there's a lot of things to consider here. How much sugar we're putting into our bodies, how much fat we're putting into our bodies, how much salt, and the long-term effect of that. And what we're seeing for most people is 2/3 of our nation's overweight. And isn't it ironic that now we have sugar substitutes, fat substitutes, salt substitutes, we have all these no fat, no salt products, and yet we're fatter than we've ever been. What do you think that is?
Don't exercise.
We don't exercise is a big part of it. Yeah. That and we've grown in how much we eat. The portion distortion lecture. We talked about we're not happy with a hamburger this size. We got to have 4 meat patties, 4 slices of cheese, 4 slices of bacon. So we've been brainwashed into thinking more is better.
That monster hamburger you were talking about, well, yes, I will confess I've had a few in my day. I actually saw a middle school girl eat 2 in one sitting.
Oh my. See how
Wow.
scary that is.
I was amazed. I really was. Yeah, for all the wrong reasons I was amazed, but
That she was able to do.
yeah, it was impressive.
And unfortunately, we see a lot of people who are really limited in their resources, financially especially, who are not going to the grocery store and buying good meat because it's got a high price tag on it, not realizing they get a lot more for their money by doing that, but they're buying the bologna and the chips and the things that seem like a bargain, you know, they're cheap, but they're so unhealthy. So they're wasting their dollars on junk. They're not getting anything nutritious. So you think the people with limited budget would be smaller because they can't afford food, and it's just the opposite. Any other questions? I did give you a little handout there that kind of summarizes some of the things that we've talked about over the last 4 sessions, kind of everything in a nutshell. And I hope that you've all learned a little bit. How many of you have made some changes within your eating habits as a result of these lectures? Or at least think about food when you eat now. Maybe look at labels and read some of that. Good, good. Well, if I've accomplished that much, I'm happy. And it's been a pleasure to work with you and talk with you these last few months. And I hope you're all healthier as a result of it.